Jodie Comer looks battered and fraught while running away from terrifying zombies as she films 28 years later in Northumberland. So guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to dive into the latest updates, news, set leak images regarding 28 years later, the newest zombie installment in the 28 Days franchise. So let's get to it, let's break it down, and let's see what we can learn about the newest installment in the upcoming zombie franchise. So, Jodie Comer looked battered and fraught as she was seen filming gory scenes on the set of 28 Years Later. The Killing Eve actress, aged 31, was announced in April to be starring in the second sequel to the 2002 film 28 Days Later, with Danny Boyle returning as director. Yeah, when I heard he was returning as director, it was a fantastic idea, bringing him back and potentially having Cillian Murphy, the Oscar winner, being in the movie as well, would bring all kinds of new heights to this franchise, and it's about time that we, breathed some fresh new life into the zombie genre. So, reprising his role from the first movie, Oscar-winning Cillian Murphy will return as Jim, joined by Aaron Taylor-Johnson, again another great casting choice, Ralph Fiennes, incredible guy, Erin Kellyman, and Jack O'Connell. So Jodie, who will play a Geordie character in the post-apocalyptic flick, was spotted filming in Northumberland countryside on Monday. She looked distressed as she was seen running away from terrifying zombies who were naked and covered in blood. That's exactly what you don't need. So guys, this is where it gets juicy. Let's jump into these kind of set leaked images and let's see if we can learn anything new about the movie and see what it has to show us. So in this first image here, we have Jodie Comer. She's, wearing this kind of knitted kind of overall kind of sweater, if you like. She's got this big jacket on and it looks like she's running through the countryside in Northumberland. Very distressed look on her face. I'm sure a lot of us would be quite distressed if we had bloody naked zombies chasing us. That's for sure. So let's keep going down to the next image. So we've got Jodie Comer here with her back to what looks like to be Tarzan. This is apparently one of the zombies from the 28 Years Later movie. You can see here, he's obviously naked, covered in mud, covered in blood, kind of crazy hair. Definitely does look like a Tarzan type of character. But I'm sure in post-production when the movie comes out, this is going to look a little bit better. But as of now, the zombie design looks very, very strange. Not what I would have thought the zombies would look like. But again, once we see it in motion, in post-production, I'm sure it will look much better. Again, she's wearing this kind of jacket with this big kind of knitted jumper over the top. I think her design looks pretty cool. And I think she'll do a great job in the role. While taking to The Independent earlier this year, in January, Cillian revealed he would possibly star in the franchise once again. So yeah, whether he's going to play a cameo role, whether he's going to play a major character, we still don't know at this point. But having him in there as an Oscar winner is going to do so much to elevate this franchise to new heights, which is super exciting. So we've got some more set images here. So we've got Jodie Comer again on set wearing the same costume as she was before. And yeah, again, looks kind of distressed, looks kind of muddy. Looks kind of, very weathered, very beaten down, very old school kind of dress here with the cardigan and everything. We get some set crew on the back here. We get a camera as well. So that's a pretty cool image. Let's move on to the next ones. So here we get a bit more of a kind of an action scene. It looks like she's jogging or kind of picking up the pace a little bit. Potentially zombies are kind of, behind her somewhere. And she's kind of picking up the pace to try and get away from them. And yeah, I mean, the style of dress here is kind of, looks very kind of old school, very kind of 60s and 70s vibes. That's kind of what it gives me. So moving on to something more exciting here, we've got the zombies. We get a look at the zombies. Naked, covered in blood, covered in mud. Very Tarzan, very old school, retro. It's not what I thought the zombies would look like within this movie, like I said earlier in the earlier picture. But it's definitely a style choice, that's for sure. But I'm sure once the movie comes out, they will look very different. But yeah, they look like kind of cavemen. Cavemen. I think that's the best way to describe it. So Jodie looked distressed as she was seen running away from terrifying zombies who were naked and covered in blood. So yeah, I love the way they've blurred out his junk here. But yeah, I mean, I'll throw it off to you guys, I guess. Is this what you thought that the zombies would look like in 28 Years Later? I don't think they look awfully bad. I don't think they look good either. Until I see them in motion, it's kind of hard to decide, if this is a good choice or not. So let's move on to the next one. So it looks like we've got the zombies at a building here. So it looks like Jodie Comer has potentially kind of run across this open countryside here. The zombies are potentially kind of chasing her across the open countryside, and she's made it into this building. I'm kind of just guessing here, guys. This might not be correct, but I'm just guessing. She's run into this building, closed the door, and the same zombies we just saw are now kind of pounding on the door. Remember, in 28 Days Later, the franchise, the zombies can run at full speed. They're not slow, shuffling zombies like in The Walking Dead. They can run at full pace. That's what makes them kind of all the more scary in this franchise. They chased her into a petrol station. So there you go. We have an update here. So this is a petrol station. They've chased her across the open countryside. She's made it into a petrol station, and now they're kind of pounding on the door. Will she be safe inside, or will they manage to get inside? We'll have to wait until the movie comes out. So we get another scene here in the open countryside. We got this character here. Looks like it to be a young lad. Could potentially be her son or some sort of relative to her within the movie. And she's very distressed on the floor. The young guy here is kind of comforting her. And we've got a crew member in the background with what looks like to be a microphone on a big boom, on a big stick here. So, moving on to this next image here, we have a lot of open grassland, as you can see. So, there's not many places to hide from zombies unless you kind of jump into the grass and kind of try to hide underneath the grass, kind of cover itself. I guess that could work. It's hard to tell. But we have another good look at this young lad here. And it looks like he's going to be the kind of archery character. There's a lot of characters within zombie franchises who use bow and arrows. It seems to be the kind of obligatory character. I mean, in The Walking Dead, we've got Daryl, who uses the crossbow. In The Last of Us, we've got one of those characters there who uses the, an archery character with a bow and arrow. And it looks like in this franchise, we've got this guy who uses the bow and arrow. I guess it makes sense. You can, recover the arrows once you've shot a zombie. It's quiet, so it doesn't alert other zombies. So I get why you have a lot of archery characters in kind of the zombie genre. I guess it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's cool to see here. Young lad with a bow and arrow. So, the next one, we have the zombies in kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of in action, chasing these guys across this open kind of grassland here. And again, the guy at the front here looks pretty damn creepy. The fact that his hand is kind of contorted like that in his fingers, the position of his fingers looks very creepy. Yeah, and this guy at the front here does look pretty damn good. We got the cavemen kind of in the middle and to the left. I don't know if this is a wig, but it looks like it. The guy here on the left, it looks pretty bad. I'm not sold on these zombies designs whatsoever. Again, blurring out his junk there. I don't know why I keep pointing that out, but I find it funny. But yeah, I'm not sold on these designs for the zombies whatsoever. But we'll have to wait for final judgment until we see it in motion in a trailer. So, another picture here, Jodie Comer, obviously looking at the dailies, looking back on a scene possibly that she's just filmed, and kind of checking it and maybe going over the scene, looking into this kind of visor, this monitor camera, whatever you want to call it. The original zombie apocalyptic film debuted in cinemas 22 years earlier. So again, it looks like we have Jodie Comer and this young guy again with the bow and arrow, which is a great scene. It looks like a lot of this is being filmed out in the open, out in this grassland area. So we'll have to wait and see what happens within this scene. And again, it looks like we're in more of an urban area. We've got this yellow building. We've got a car behind. We've got crew members. We've got the camera here. We've got a microphone. And Jodie Comer, again, acting out a scene or practicing, maybe rehearsing for a scene that she's about to shoot. And they're running across the grassland here again, so it's the same scene. They're going back and forth, getting a lot of exercise from this scene by the seams of it. Running across this grassland, trying to avoid these zombies, potentially filming the scene in several different ways and then choosing the best take. That may be what they're doing here. And then again, we've got the two characters, the archery and Jodie Comer, talking to the crew member here. And I think this is pretty much all we have to see from the set images of this one scene here. We've got the two main characters and we've got the zombies in the background here, or cavemen, whichever you want to call it. Again, I'm just really not sold on the design of these zombies. I don't think they look that good at the moment, but I'm going to try and reserve judgment. So let's move on to this next post here. So next article, I should say. So this comes to us from the BBC. 28 years later, cast and crew film in Yorkshire. So this is where it gets kind of cool. So the latest installment of the Oscar-winning director, Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later franchise has been filmed on location in North Yorkshire this week. So we have some more set images. So it looks like they're going to be filming in this old style cathedral here, which I think is really cool. They used I believe they used these kind of cathedral buildings in the very first movie, if I'm not mistaken. And they filmed around this kind of scenery in the first movie. But yeah, I think this is great. It adds more kind of gravitas, kind of old school filming to the 28 Days franchise. Seeing zombies or potential zombies kind of running in and out of these kind of ruins, I think looks very visceral. I think it would look really exciting. It's something a bit different you don't normally see from zombie films. So yeah, old school kind of English scenery. I really like that. So there was restricted access for visitors to the National Trust owned parkland. So further scenes were filmed in Yorkshire Dales National Park at locations including, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, Falls and Redmere. A bone temple was constructed next to the River Ur, and a public footpath closed for the duration of the shoot. The original 28 Days Later, which was released in 2002, told a story of a rage virus which swept through the UK. We already know that. The second film was 28 weeks later in 2007. So again, film crew was seen at Fountains Abbey. So we have the film crew here. We have a big truck with loads of the equipment in the back. It looks like we have an ambulance on set. This is obviously for the cast and crew or any stunt actors there may be in case anyone gets injured. It looks like we have some tarpaulin here that they're going to be erecting and then potentially putting set pieces underneath it. And I think this is a generator, if I'm not mistaken. You can plug different set pieces into it, floodlights, fans, different kind of things. And then we've got another crew car behind as well. So there we go, guys. So there's a few more pictures there. It doesn't show us any of the cast or crew on set, but filming in these kind of medieval ruins here, this kind of old style cathedral, is really damn cool. And then seeing this kind of just a few vehicles here from the set as well, I always find it interesting to see these kind of pictures, whether there's cast and crew in it or not. It's still interesting to see these behind the scenes images. So what we're going to do next, we're going to move on to some X posts, which give us some more information and set images of the movie being filmed. So moving over here to X, we have a bunch of posts we're going to dive into, and we have some new set images. So let's take a look. Some of them we have already seen, so the ones that we've already looked at in the articles I'm going to skip over, and we'll get to the ones that we haven't seen yet. So this comes to us from Film Updates. Jodie Comer and Edvin riding on the set of Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later. So let's jump into these images. So we have Jodie Comer. I think we already looked at this image, obviously in her old school get up here, running across this kind of open grassland. So this one, we have two young lads here. One looks like a kind of military costume here, almost. And then we have the other lad. I don't know their name, so I do apologize. Obviously the archery type character. He's got the bow and arrow. He's got the arrows on his back. And we have a crew member here. It looks like they're getting some direction. So on to the next one. Again, one of the young characters. He's got this kind of tactical outfit here. So how he's going to factor into the story, I'm not exactly sure. Is he part of the military to some degree? Or, is he like a prepper in the movie where he has this gear already available to him? Or did he scavenge it from somebody else? It'd be interesting to see, what kind of faction, what kind of role this guy plays. Because it looks like he's, pretty kitted out here. He's got a magazine for an assault rifle. He's got an assault rifle here hanging down. It's hard to tell what type of weapon this is because you can only see the stock. But yeah, he looks very kitted out. He looks very tactical. So he's obviously well organized from the group that he comes from. Moving on to the next one. This is a super creepy image. Jodie Comer on her hands and knees, kind of in this shrubbery here. Looks like there's some kind of building or door behind her. And she's giving these eyes here to the camera. And this looks really creepy. This look of this kind of stare towards the camera here. Just looking at it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, there's some new images there. So let's move on to the next X post. So we have some information here. This comes to us from Dark Nation. The second chapter in Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later, to be directed by Nia DaCosta. That worries me greatly. For those of you who may not know or don't remember, Nia DaCosta was the director of the Marvels movie. We all know what happened to the Marvels. One of the biggest, if not the biggest flop the MCU has put out in recent history. So that does worry me, the fact that she's going to be directing the second movie in this planned trilogy. She has rumored title for the 28 Years Later Part 2, The Bone Temple. So yeah, the Marvel's director on board, it doesn't give me the most confidence or faith that that the second movie is going to do all that well. But you never know, the Marvels may have been her bad day at the office. She may surprise us and come out with something great. So we'll have to stick with it and see what she produces at the end of the day. So moving on to the next post from Queenie. Jodie Comer with director Danny Boyle on the set of 28 Years Later in Northumberland. So we have a few more pictures here. She's laying down in the grassland here with director Danny Boyle behind her. Yeah, so whether she's injured or has fallen over or something's happened, it's hard to tell, but she's just kind of laying down in this kind of grassland area. So the next one, we've already seen this image, the young lad that had the bow and arrow kind of comforting her. Whether someone's just been killed, whether she's injured, hard to tell from the context, but a nice kind of comforting scene here, potentially between mother and son. Again, I don't know the relationship between these two characters. Moving on to the next one, again, the same sort of image. She's laying her head on his wrist this time. So whether she's just tired or injured, again, it's hard to know. But yeah, so there's 3 new images there. Moving on to the next X post. We've already seen that image, so I'm going to skip that one onto the next post. And these are our final images for this video here, guys. So Jodie Comer on set again with Danny Boyle, 28 Years Later. Comes to us from Queenie. So let's have a look. Wow, that's a really creepy look on her face there. So it looks like she's about to be sick. She's throwing up. She's injured. Something's happened. She's kind of fallen over into this kind of shrubbery here. That look on her face though, man, that looks really horrifying. That's great face acting right there. But yeah, not sure what's going on here, but it doesn't look good. Kind of in distress, kind of injured. Hard to tell, but very freaky nonetheless. So this is going to be the final image of the video, and we'll finish off on this one. So they're at a petrol station here. It looks like they've made their way across that open grassland. They've been chased by zombies, made it to the petrol station. They may be looking for kind of diesel or fuel for their car or a vehicle of some kind if they've broken down. Maybe that's why they're at a petrol station. But we get the young lad, we get Jodie Comer. I think she's like fallen over, and he's kind of picking her up again, and they're trying to get away from the zombies that are coming after them. But yeah, I love the kind of the post-apocalyptic look on the petrol station. Looks great. The weathered petrol pumps, the kind of the moss that's growing over it, tells you that it's been there for a long time. It's been abandoned for a long time. So yeah, it looks great. The set looks great. The costumes look great. So guys, let's finish it there. So that was kind of a bit of a breakdown of the latest set leaked images, some of new up-to-date information about what's going on with 28 Years Later, the newest installment in the 28 Days Zombie franchise. So I throw it off to you guys. What do you think about this information? What do you think about these set images? Does it get you more excited for the movie? Are you going to be seeing it when it comes out? Or do you not really care about this franchise? Whatever your thoughts are, pop them down in the comment section down below, guys. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. As always, hit that like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.